All right, so let's dive into one of the most pivotal moments in the entire Bhagavad Gita. Up to this point, Krishna has laid it all out. I mean, he's explained everything: identity, action, knowledge, devotion. And Arjuna, he's been listening. He gets it. He agrees with it all. But, and this is a big but, something is still missing. The understanding is there, but it's not quite enough. And that's when Arjuna makes a request that just completely changes the game. He doesn't ask for another analogy, or a more detailed breakdown. He just says, show me. Think about that. Not explain it to me again, not give me a symbol. He wants to see it. He wants a revelation. And right there, with that one single request, we've hit the absolute limit of what words can do. We're at the point where concepts have to step aside for direct, unvarnished vision. And that, right there, is why Chapter 11 is so incredibly dramatic. Krishna's done everything a teacher can possibly do with language. He's hit the wall. And Arjuna, well, he's at the very peak of intellectual understanding. Any more explanation at this point, it would just be going in circles, recycling the same old ideas. Think about what explanation actually does. By its very nature, it has to filter reality, right? It has to chop up the whole into little pieces so we can talk about them. It puts labels on things that are actually in constant motion. And maybe most importantly, it softens the blow of things that are just overwhelmingly vast. But revelation? That's the complete opposite. It doesn't filter anything. It just shows you the totality, all at once, no holding back. Okay, so before we jump into what Arjuna actually sees, we have to get really clear on what this universal vision is not, because there are a ton of misconceptions floating around about this. And the goal here, it's probably not what you're thinking. So let's be crystal clear. This vision, it is not some pretty metaphor for oneness. It's not a hallucination brought on by the stress of battle. It's not some kind of reward for being a good devotee. And it is absolutely not a cosmic light show just to impress Arjuna. No. Its purpose is something way more raw, way more fundamental than any of that. And this really gets to the heart of the matter. This vision, it is not meant to be a warm hug from the universe. It is meant to be a direct, unblinking confrontation with reality itself. So what does that even mean, reality without filters? Well, it's about seeing existence without all the usual buffers we put up. Without the ego's constant need to be in control, without our personal likes and dislikes, our little boxes of good and bad, and without those simple moral stories we tell ourselves to make sense of everything. And that is exactly why this vision is both breathtakingly awesome and at the same time completely terrifying. All right, so with all that in mind, let's actually look at what Arjuna sees, because what he's shown is nothing less than the complete and total dismantling of his nice, neat, organized little world. First, he just sees infinite forms. I mean, every possible shape, every being, every single thing you could imagine, all of it existing right now, all at once. The scale of it is just unimaginable. And then he sees creation and destruction happening at the exact same time. Worlds are being born at the very same instant that other worlds are being devoured. It's not a sequence like first this, then that. No, it's a single, simultaneous, mind-bending process. And woven into all of that, he sees beauty and horror, completely inseparable. They're not opposites. They're two sides of the same coin. The sacred and the violent, the noble and the cruel, it's all there, all part of the very same cosmic fabric. And this is the absolute gut punch of the whole thing. The vision reveals that the universe isn't selectively kind. It doesn't play favorites. It doesn't care about our ideals. It is simply total. Everything that we work so hard to keep in separate boxes, good and bad, life and death, the vision shows it's all part of one single indivisible whole. Now, as you can imagine, this has a completely devastating effect on Arjuna. I mean, it's one thing to talk about totality. It is something else entirely to witness it firsthand. So why? Why is it so overwhelming? What is it about this vision that just breaks him? So why does he tremble? Why is he so shaken? It's not just regular fear, and it's not just simple awe, like seeing something grand. No, it's deeper than that. He is witnessing something that his very sense of self, his ego, simply cannot survive. I mean, just think about what our ego, our sense of being a separate me, is built on. It needs a few things to survive, right? It needs to feel like it's in control. It needs to have a clear moral high ground, to be on the right side. And deep down, it needs to believe in its own personal significance, that it matters in the grand scheme of things. Now, look at what the vision shows him. It reveals time as this unstoppable force, just devouring everything and everyone. It shows that outcomes are unfolding on a scale far beyond any one person's choice. And it makes it painfully clear that our precious, unique individuality is, well, temporary. The vision basically just walks up and systematically kicks out every single pillar holding up his ego. But, and this is so important, this is not nihilism. The point isn't that life is meaningless, not at all. What's happening here is a scale correction. The vision is basically saying, hey, your human perspective isn't wrong, it's just partial. It's like you're looking at one single pixel on a screen and trying to describe the entire movie. You're not wrong about the pixel, but you're missing the whole picture. And believe it or not, this isn't just some abstract philosophical idea from an ancient text. We all get little glimpses of this vision, tiny fragments of this unfiltered reality in our own lives today. When do we encounter this? Well, think about moments of large-scale catastrophe, or when you're confronted with mass suffering that's just too big to comprehend. Even in moments of overwhelming, breathtaking beauty that just completely erases your sense of self. Or, any time that comforting illusion of being in control completely shatters. And what happens in those moments? All of a sudden, all our neat little moral explanations for why things happen, they just feel so thin, so flimsy. Our personal dramas, the stories we tell ourselves about our lives, they suddenly feel tiny. Reality just pulls back the curtain and reveals itself as this vast, impersonal force, operating on a scale that makes our individual worries seem almost insignificant. And this brings us to maybe the single most powerful takeaway from this whole experience. The Gita isn't trying to say that reality is cruel. It's saying something much more profound. It's saying the problem isn't the vision. The problem is that we expect reality to be comforting. The problem is our expectation that the universe should play by our human rules of fairness. So chapter 11 kicks off with a pure shock of revelation. It doesn't ask for your belief. It couldn't care less about your approval. It just shows you what is. And the real work, the real understanding begins right after that shock wears off. So in our next one, we're going to dig into that. We're going to decode why this awe-inspiring, terrifying vision is so wrapped up with destruction and what Krishna really means when he makes that chilling statement, I am time.